Hi, folks. Welcome back to the PagerDuty Twitch stream. I am Mandy Walls, your host. I'm a DevOps advocate here at PagerDuty. With me today, we have Jeff Fry from Lacework. Hi, Jeff. How's it going?
Hey, Mandy. Thanks for inviting me to this great PagerDuty Twitch session.
Yeah, what do you have for us today? What are you going to show us?
Well, we're a startup company, so I'm hoping to kind of build that awareness, kind of talk to you about this company, show you what we do and how we work well with PagerDuty.
Love to see it. Excellent. Let's get it rolling here, man.
All right. So just a quick intro on me. I'm an Alliance Solution Architect at Lacework. And so I guess what that means is I work with technology partners like PagerDuty. And I help them provide technical guidance from how we integrate together, build solutions, and help evangelize those solutions as well.
Excellent. Yeah, we have a pretty nice integration with Lacework, so you can send stuff from your Lacework platform into PagerDuty. So let's give it a shot here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Like PagerDuty helps us out quite a bit. We're in the cloud security space, and so we're able to alert on misconfigurations, anomalies in your cloud environments and your cloud native technologies. But we do the detection. We need some help on the triaging and the escalations, the remediation. So that's where PagerDuty comes in.
Perfect. That sounds like a great way to put all that stuff together for all of our folks that are using cloud and those things. Like Lacework works everywhere, right? Like all over the place. You can load it up.
Yeah, absolutely. We're multi-cloud. So, obviously the big three cloud providers, AWS, Azure, GCP. If you're a customer of those cloud providers, you need to protect those cloud environments.
Absolutely.
We'll catch those misconfigurations, any sort of weird activity. We can alert you to those. And also cloud native technologies. If you're using containers and Kubernetes, we'll help you with that.
Great. All right. So you have some stuff to show us today?
Yeah, maybe I'll take a step back and just give a quick background on us. Like I said, we're a startup. Yeah. We're pretty new. Folks may not know us. So we were founded back in 2015. And then we're backed by Sutter Hill Ventures, very successful venture capital firm. Some other companies they have backed are like Thousand Eyes, Sumo Logic. They IPO'd last year. People might be familiar with them.
Yeah.
Pure Storage, maybe a few years back, and they've been pretty successful. And then Snowflake. So that was a recent IPO.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of consider ourselves a sister company of Snowflake. Our data warehouse is built off of Snowflake, and then they have also invested in us. So speaking of investment, earlier this year, there was a big news about us receiving about $525 million in funding. That's a Series D. So at that time, we're at about 200 folks, and we've been growing like crazy. So that was January.
Yeah.
At this point, I think we're a little over 900, somewhere around 900. So
wow.
Figure out that percentage of growth.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. Absolutely.
We have two great CEOs, David Hatfield, who came from Pure Storage. He was a president over there on the sales side, and then Jay Parikh came from Facebook. He's the engineer. He was an engineering leader over there. So we have a co-CEO setup, which is different, but it works out great. I don't see how one person can run a company and handle so much. So it's great. I think to have two. They work really well together, and they're able to divide up the responsibilities pretty well.
Cool. That's kind of unusual for a tech company to have a couple of CEOs.
Yeah, it's great. So let's go into what Lacework does. I mentioned cloud security, but that can mean a lot. So
yeah, do you want to share your screen? I'm not sure if you had or if you had slides or anything for us today.
I don't have any slides.
Oh, okay, cool.
Go ahead and kind of talk a little bit.
Yeah, all right, awesome.
Right into the product.
Never sure.
Twitch is kind of informal.
It totally is. That's why I like it so much. Like, it feels a lot less button down.
Like it's less prep too. I don't have to put together some slides.
No pressure.
Yeah. Cool. Cloud security, but we take a more holistic view of cloud security. Like I mentioned before, multi-cloud, obviously, cloud native technologies, again, Kubernetes, containers. But another way to look at it, particularly for people that are thinking about cloud security, is you need to have like an end-to-end view of how you want to secure your cloud and your cloud native technologies. So that's starting with the developer, DevOps teams, IT teams, and security. So our product has those features to protect you through that application lifecycle. So,
Okay.
Your code, we can scan your code and find vulnerabilities there. We can scan your images and your software, also detect vulnerabilities there. If you're a developer and you have a build system, we can detect security issues in your infrastructure as code, security issues in the software you're building. So that kind of covers the developer side of things.
Yeah.
But then once that application gets deployed into your cloud environment, how do you secure it there, right? We need to watch out for, if you have an S3 bucket in your application,
I love those. Yes.
Yeah.
Misconfigured S3 buckets.
Yeah, exactly. IAM roles misconfigured, that sort of thing. And also any sort of unusual activity will protect you there. One other thing I'll mention too is one other way, and the way we kind of talk about it with our customers is we kind of divide up our product features into 4 pillars.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is cloud security posture management. And this is really the configuration part, the compliance part. Again, it's the S3 buckets. It's whether your security groups are configured properly. Are they exposed? Do users have multi-factor authentication set up?
Mm-hmm.
We will alert you to that. So that's one pillar. And that's the compliance and configuration. The second pillar is kind of an extension of that. It's still in that cloud environment, but it's about the user and API activity. So now that you have all that configured, what are people doing there? How are APIs being used? And so we monitor that, and then we're actually able to create flows and interactions amongst those resources that are being used. And I'll talk a little bit about this later and show you, but we have a patent technology called Polygraph. It uses machine learning. So once we map out those interactions, our machine learning can detect anomalies on those interactions and alert you if there's something weird going on. Oh, and I'll have an example later and I'll show you that.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Third pillar is vulnerability discovery. So I've talked a little bit about that. Just finding vulnerabilities in your software, your images, your software dependencies. One differentiator that we have is we also are able to detect those in your runtime environment. So once a container gets deployed in, say, Kubernetes, we can also check it there and see if there's any vulnerabilities in that software. Because sometimes development teams are using third-party software. It's not in a build process where you can catch it. They'll just deploy it, and so we can catch those. And then the fourth pillar is our workload protection. So once you have that software deployed into, say, Kubernetes or on an EC2 instance, we can monitor that activity and again, see if anything weird is going on. So that's kind of how our product works in a nutshell.
Cool.
And then PagerDuty, then, like I mentioned before, comes in and gives us that alert behavior. So we have alert channels. We can send them to PagerDuty. We can set up services there. And this is, again, where PagerDuty can help us out quite a bit, because what we've learned with our customers is customers have different ways they want to escalate these events or these alerts.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Sometimes there's a different team. They have a DevOps team. Sometimes it's based on application. They have a team that's just responsible for handling alerts for applications. So PagerDuty provides that great flexibility of being able to configure that.
Cool. Do you see teams that have like a specific team that responds to security events, or you're looking at like application folks are running using Lacework in relation to their own application?
Yeah, it varies, right? We had requests where they just want to send alerts for a particular application that's been deployed to that particular application team.
Yeah.
Or they may just have one single security team where they all go to. DevOps team may want to just get all the container vulnerabilities so they can deal with that. I guess each customer or each company is different, kind of depending on what resources they have. If they have if it's a large company, it's multi-cloud, then they might have it further divided up with Azure, AWS, and GCP. So, like I said, this is the great thing about PagerDuty. It can support all those different types of use cases.
Awesome.
All right. So maybe we can get right into the product.
Excellent.
So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, put that up there. There we go.
There we go. You can see it now. All right. So right now we're looking at the Lacework UI. And this is our main dashboard that our customers typically start with. This is our security posture dashboard. And this shows some high-level metrics of what's going on in your environment. In your environment, we're monitoring resources and accounts. If we're using AWS as an example, you can add your AWS accounts into Lacework, and we'll monitor all the resources attached to those accounts. So when we take a look at these metrics here, the first one you see here on the left is the incoming data. And so this is really showing you the amount of data that Lacework is processing to develop your security posture. So you can see 12.6 million. That is a lot. I think there's probably a couple dozen AWS accounts being monitored in this Lacework instance. So, everything like mentioned here, network connections, processes, users. There's a lot of data to be processed.
That is a lot of data points. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, we go down to entity behaviors. And so then we take all that data and then we figure out what are the interactions going on, say, between users, machines, processes, containers, accounts. What's happening here? Is someone logging in? Is someone accessing your resources? And so then from those entity behaviors, we move over to the right. Then we start to develop those events, like someone logging in, someone accessing a resource. And then finally, we have our Polygraph technology and machine learning that analyzes those events and tries to figure out what are anomalies or what are known bad behaviors. And those then result in alerts that can be sent to PagerDuty. So we have alerts that can be critical alerts, medium alerts, high alerts, alerts in areas of misconfigurations, behavior. Those will all be sent to PagerDuty.
Cool.
All right, so those alerts end up being events. And so we can take a look at our events dashboard. Once we go through here, you can see a list of events going on related to like misconfigurations.
So are those CIS standards violations? Is that what those?
Yeah, great observation. Yeah, so this is part of that first pillar I talked about. Cloud
okay, yeah, compliance.
Yeah, so we can jump over here. And so we have compliance for AWS, Azure, GCP. I'll take a look at AWS. And here we can generate all sorts of compliance reports based on your needs, right? So SOC 2, security audits and customer information, if that's something that initiative that your company is going down the path of, you can help there. PCI for payment processing, HIPAA health. We can analyze your cloud configuration and generate these kind of reports.
Mm-hmm.
This one here is an example for AWS CIS, and so and S3. So we can go down through here, and these are our compliance rules here. We're flagging things that S3 buckets. We'll monitor those. Further on down, IAM, logging, networking. So again, we're checking your full cloud configuration.
Okay.
And a lot of times our customers, they'll just generate this report and send it off to their auditing.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the PDF that everybody's following along with. So yeah, if it's there, yeah.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to show you here, and I forgot to bring it up, but I wanted to show you a specific event. Hold on here. Here we go, event 6.2. Yeah, so to kind of tie this together, again, we had our events over here, and then you could be alerted from it. It would show up in PagerDuty, and then in PagerDuty or here, you can be taken back to do the investigation on that event. So this is another thing that Lacework is really good at, is providing you context to do that investigation. Because otherwise, you might be having to log into various systems,
all kinds of places.
figure out what happened here, what's going on. So in this particular situation, we've alerted you on a new AWS user that was created, and we have alerted you because it's an anomaly. Maybe this user hasn't done that before. Maybe what they did is unusual. It's not something they typically do. This, again, is based on our machine learning. So we call this our event dossier. And this kind of gives you the why, what, and when, where, all those things you need to do that investigation. So we're telling you here that we have an AWS account, customer demo. This user here created a new user. What was the user? Well, they created this J Smith user. Tells you when it happened, and it tells you where it happened. So this was done in an AWS US East 1 region.
Oh, that's super helpful. If you end up with some Bitcoin farmer visitors in your AWS account, I know that they're trying to do that in Brazil.
And we have caught those instances. Yeah, we definitely caught those. Also, further down here, we can show you related activities of that user or resources they're accessing. But it gets better. So what I'll do is click on this user and take a better analysis of what exactly is going on. So if I look at this user, I'm in that same time frame. And I'm going to scroll on down. And this is where our Polygraph technology can show you what exactly is going on. So now, I mentioned earlier, we get those entity behaviors, and it shows all the interactions between users, processes, and resources. We've mapped that out for this particular instance.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Here's that account ID. Came in from Tokyo, made this API call. And so we flagged this. You see it's red here. This is the anomaly. And so this is the demo Dave user. Came again from East 1. Access IAM and token service. And then you start to see the AWS API calls that were made. So this looks pretty suspicious here because they came in, created that user, access key, changed some policies. Look closely here. You can see there's it's related to an S3 policy. And then they came back and cleaned it up.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a perfect example of Lacework being able to analyze that cloud environment, detect an anomaly, and then give you all the context to quickly figure out what happened.
Yeah, that's slick.
Yeah. So I went through events, compliance. More on the DevOps side, we'll talk about vulnerabilities here, and I'll focus more on container vulnerabilities. Like I mentioned before, we can detect these vulnerabilities during the build process, or if you're pushing images to a repository or registry, we can detect them there as well.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and click on containers. So this is a listing of all the vulnerabilities we found and all the images across all the registries that we're monitoring. We'll give you the CVEs, the image name. We'll take a look at an example here. Like we have this PocBot Slackbot image. Looks like it's sitting in ECR. Looks like we have 1 critical and 27 high vulnerabilities. Go ahead and click on that. And then this will give you the full CVE list of all the vulnerabilities that were found. Gives you the details. Gives you the details on that vulnerability. So, does a little bit of research for you right here.
Yeah.
But the real differentiator for us is being able to provide you runtime observability as well. So now that we found a vulnerability in the container, but really what's important is that container active? Is this something I need to address right now?
Yeah, we're using this thing right now.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll click on details. And we scroll on down here. And then we can see, well, we have one active container. Click on that. And if I scroll further on down, we'll get a similar polygraph here for that container, so we can see the interactions with that container. But the thing I want to show you here, so this comes up, yeah, we can see this container now is running in ECS, and we can tell you what repository this ECR repository it came from, and the actual host that it's running on.
Oh, slick. Very nice.
Yeah, so this is where someone can go in there and maybe block it, update it, whatever it needs to be done to kind of fix the issue. Cool. So next thing I want to do is I want to show how PagerDuty helps with all of this great security alerts that protect us. So, one thing we do is go over to settings, and we have something called alert channels. And alert channel is a way for us to send these events that we want to alert you to. And the nice thing is we have a direct integration for PagerDuty. So once you set that up, you just give it a name. I'm not gonna complete this all the way, but, and then you just need to put in your PagerDuty API integration key.
Excellent. Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And then I've already set up a couple here. We'll do a search. Yeah, so I set up 3 here. Again, I kind of modeled this on either cloud provider or ops team.
Yeah.
So these alert channels are set up. They're sending to PagerDuty. So let's jump over to PagerDuty. So now I have set up services corresponding to those alert channels. I have one for AWS. So what I've done is within our product or within Lacework, we can set up these alert rules. So we can say, okay, what kind of events, what kind of alerts do we want to send down to this alert channel?
Yeah.
So I have a particular alert rule saying just AWS alerts, send them down that PagerDuty AWS alert channel.
Okay.
And that's what this one is. And so we have this service set up. If I click in there, you can see I have several alerts that have been coming in here for some of these, like the ones we just saw, those compliance issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then this might be a situation where we have an AWS security team and they're responsible for dealing with these.
Yeah.
They get that alert and then they can escalate it, do remediation, plug Rundeck in there, maybe have a security run book or playbook with a Rundeck, and they can resolve these. Go back. Looks like we didn't have any in GCP, but I'll take a look at the DevOps one. So for DevOps, we're flagging on container vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Or security misconfigurations, because it looks like that's what this one is. If I click on that. So it looks like we have an alert here. Looks like we have some port issues with this particular container, this demo app that's running. So, if it's your DevOps team, they just deploy this application from this ECR registry, and now they've discovered that there's an issue with it. They can go back and resolve it.
Mm-hmm. So if they decide that is a configuration that they do want, is there a way to sort of mark it as good?
Yeah, great question. So obviously you can ignore it here, but within our product, you're able to go over and suppress these. So scroll on events. Right over here. So we have actions over here for a particular configuration rule. Yeah, you can go ahead and do, you can suppress it. You can do some advanced suppression. So within our product, for certain resources, you can create resource groups.
Okay.
So you can suppress specific resource groups, right? A resource group could be maybe like a group of Kubernetes clusters. Like you don't care about alerts coming out of that one. Maybe it's a development cluster. You can suppress them there, or you can suppress it altogether. And that is kind of all I had for our demo. I hope this gave a really good overview of Lacework and how we work well with PagerDuty.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. So for folks that are on the sort of application developer side, like what kind of workflows do you see them using Lacework for? Is it largely like, is it something that you think folks would use like to like prep a work environment? Like they've got, here's my Docker container where I'm going to build my application. That
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's where they're really focused on the application vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the developer side, one thing they could do is if they're using a CI system, if they're using
Mm-hmm.
Jenkins or something like Tecton, we have something called the inline scanner.
Okay.
So they include that in their CI system to scan the image after it's been built.
Okay.
And then discover the vulnerabilities there. And then they can choose to stop the build process, stop it from being pushed to a registry, or stop it from being deployed. So that's one thing they can do. We were talking earlier, we just acquired a company called Soluble that provides infrastructure as code security. So with Soluble, you can connect Soluble to your repositories, your GitHub, your code repositories like GitHub or GitLab. And then we can scan those repositories for Kubernetes, manifest files, Terraform, CloudFormation, and then we can check those infrastructure code configurations to make sure that there aren't any vulnerabilities there. Like you configured a security group incorrectly. We can catch it right there in your repo, again, before it's deployed, where you can have problems later on.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So then for the other scanning that you do, are these all are all the like the layouts, all the rules, are they already built into the platform? So I sign up for Lacework and I've got my account, then I can go ahead and use like the CIS standards or whatever the other things that are there.
Yeah, we include a bunch of default rules. But what I also want to emphasize is that machine learning and anomaly detection, right? Because you have rules for what you know about, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then that's where the power of machine learning comes in to help protect you from things that you don't know about.
Yeah.
Particularly, like maybe you have an employee that's doing some funny business, like you mentioned before, Bitcoin mining.
Yes, right?
It would catch that, right?
All of a sudden you have like 5 large instances running somewhere in a data center that you don't normally
and this guy has not done that before, so we would alert you.
Yeah, that's excellent. So it's really looking for suspicious and odd-looking things that wouldn't normally be happening.
Yeah.
Super cool. All right. Well, do you have any ways that folks can learn about all your stuff? You have online tutorials and things like that going on?
Yeah, my recommendation is just go to lacework.com.
Okay.
We have plenty of support documentation, videos, descriptions of the platform. I'll talk about those 4 pillars in detail. So yeah, just go to lacework.com and learn more about us.
Excellent. Fantastic. For the folks out there who are going to try and persuade their compliance officer that they need this, like what kind of advice do you have for them to tell them about for Lacework?
Yeah, kind of what we do is we kind of look for initiatives, again, like if they're doing some sort of SOC compliance or sort of CIS initiative going on, that's where we can help. If they're doing any sort of digital transformation, like doing some modernization, if they're moving from on-prem to cloud, that would be an initiative that where Lacework can help you out.
Mm-hmm. Cool. You see folks have a lot of, is there, so I'm kind of interested, like, did you find folks see a lot of things that they weren't expecting, or are they just not thinking in a cloud mindset yet when they're doing that kind of initiative?
I think it's a combination of both, right? As a lot of our customers, they're really new to this cloud still after all this time. They don't understand, some of the holes, security holes that can occur.
Yeah.
And then there's the technology issue. Like they haven't used Kubernetes before. They don't understand the issues that can occur in the security realm with Kubernetes or building your Docker images. The holes are there. But also the big thing is it's a data problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's this, especially if you're a large company with a lot of employees, a lot of development teams, that means there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And that means there's, each new account, each new resource, each new environment is a new threat vector. and how are you going to manage all that and monitor all that? It's a lot of data. So that's where kind of Lacework can come in with our data warehousing and our machine learning to help you protect yourself.
Definitely. Because that the amount of data you showed us at the very beginning, like the number of data points flowing through that account, absolutely astronomical. And there's no way anyone's going to get their own head wrapped around all of that. You just don't get that kind of, you don't have that kind of time to look at all that stuff, obviously, but like putting all the data behind it and everything, that's just, incredible.
Yeah. And your security teams, a company's security team is already kind of overwhelmed.
Always, yeah.
So they need all the automation and machine learning to help them.
Excellent. All right. For folks out there in the audience, if you have any questions you'd like to put them in the chat, we'd love to hear from you. I'm going to post in the link for the documentation if you'd like to hook up your Lacework and PagerDuty accounts. We'd love to hear from you on your, anybody's got any kind of experience with that or want to share it with us. We'd love to see you in the forums and chat with you on that for later, maybe for PagerDuty Summit and some other things that we might be doing. I'd love to hear from folks about that, all that stuff. So yeah, that's great. Well, I think this is fantastic. I mean, I love a good story about people who have left their S3 buckets wide open. Like that one always I'd find humorous. There's always some strange one that comes across. You're like, wow, that's kind of interesting data to look at. So having a tool like this that seems pretty user friendly and has a lot of stuff built into it from the very beginning seems really handy for folks. So, yeah. All right. Well, I think that sounds pretty good to me. If you've got anything else you'd like to let us know, or if you've got any events or anything coming up you'd like to share, otherwise we'll sign off.
Yeah. Again, just go to lacework.com and check it out.
Awesome. We'd love to hear it. For everybody out there, if, like I said, if you've had experience with PagerDuty connected to Lacework, you can let us know in the forums. That's at community.pagerduty.com. We would love to hear about your successes and the things that you're doing with PagerDuty and our integrations, especially these cool new things like Lacework that are getting out there. So, in the meantime, if you are new to our channel, make sure you follow us here at twitch.tv/PagerDuty. If you're viewing us on YouTube, we'd love it if you would like and subscribe. We'll be posting regular streams coming up with other partners, and we'd love to know if you find them useful. So you can give us a shout, you can get in the comments, or you can drop an email to my team, we're community-team@pagerduty.com. So Jeff, thank you so much for coming on board today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you, Mandy.
Excellent. So we'll sign off, and we'll be back next week with more content on the stream. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you never miss a stream. Follow us at PD Community and PagerDuty on twitch.tv. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to be on our stream, email us at community-team@pagerduty.com so we can feature the cool things you're doing. And don't forget, check out all of our global events on our calendar at pagerduty.com/events.